And we are live. So, welcome to episode 280. It feels kind of auspicious. A 2, an 8, and a 0 of an American Werewolf. My name is Michael Martin. I am the American Werewolf. In the house tonight, we've got the late man.
Yeah, just barely made it.
Yeah, just by the skin of his teeth, man. That guy. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
We've got John K. Alvarez, a.k.a. the Third Wheel. He's not the third man. He's the third wheel, writer, drinker, and a lover, but not necessarily in that order. Nice to see you, man.
Ta-da.
So, can you ever really know someone? Do you ever, you know someone for 20 years and you think you know them, and then you find out, okay, maybe I didn't know this person at all.
Right.
This is not the type of movie that we have typically covered at all on this show. I saw it once a long time ago and just remember being blown away by it because I'm a fan of Orson Welles, going back to Citizen Kane. And so I was like, you know what? Let's look at this again. We're talking about Carol Reed's The Third Man. So if you're ready to go, shall we get it going?
Let's get to the sewers.
Boogie woogie. So I don't want to get too much into like long-winded introductions. Let's get right into it. Let's go with the late man for a brief synopsis. I want to say real quick, this movie is available on Tubi, so you can watch it for free on Tubi. I would advise that everyone who is a fan of film should watch this, and we'll get into the reasons why as we go. What was your initial impression? Is this a first-time view for either of you, all of you, neither of you? And what do you got for us?
This is kind of a first-time view, although I've had the movie on VHS for many years. And when I worked overnights, I would come home, the sun's coming up, dead tired, and throw a tape into the VHS and fall asleep with it on. So this is the first time I made it past the first 7 minutes of the movie. So it was worth getting through it. But I like Orson Welles. I really dig noir movies, and I really geeked out watching this because of the Cold War connection and just the depictions of post-war Vienna. I was just fascinated by the whole thing, the portrayals of all the people, even though they were sort of caricatured. They were. I enjoyed watching the characters more than the plot. It was a good film to watch. I thought it's not as cynical as it should have been. I think at the end, I don't want to spoil it, but at the end, it sort of takes a turn depending on people not being cynical and having that sort of ray of hope thing about them. But other than that, great film to watch, beautifully shot, all on location. It's fantastic movie.
All right. John K. Alvarez, The Third Wheel. What did you think of this film? Had you seen it before? Like it, dislike it? Staving off slashing your wrists until after the stream? What do you got?
You got it. I've seen this movie a few times, and this is the movie that whenever I hear somebody younger than me say, oh, there's no really good black and white movies, I kind of throw this at them, because and it's nothing. It's not their fault. I was lucky enough when I first saw this movie, my dad watched it. So he turned around and said, you should sit down and watch this. I think you'll like it. So did my mother. They both really liked the film. And they liked the mystery aspect of it, which is what I usually do too. And each time I watch it, I walk away with a little more. And I fall in love with all the characters the more and more I watch them, and I feel for them more and more.
Right.
But I do. It's to me, it's one of my top 10 movies, and I absolutely think it's fantastic.
Now, John, you and I had just watched another movie about post-World War II when we did Drunken Angel. And so we were seeing Japan just in an atrocious state in open sewers, and, people are sick with disease and, mosquitoes and what was the disease that tuberculosis?
Tuberculosis.
Was going through.
Don't drink the water. Get away from the pool.
Dysentery, these sorts of things. Here we're in post-war Vienna, I guess around 1948, and the black markets have everything's divided up into 4 different sections. You got the Americans, the British, the French, and the Russians. But really, the way things are moving are through the black market. You really need something, you're going to cut a little deal here and there. We get a guy played by Joseph Cotten, Holly Martins, which is a strange name for a guy. But this American guy comes over to Vienna after the invitation of his friend Harry Lime, who promises him a job. Martins is a pulp writer. He writes like old westerns, like the Oklahoma Kid. I love that he was the author of the Oklahoma Kid. I love that. That's an old book. Yeah. He wrote the Oklahoma Kid and, these sorts of things. So he thinks he's going over there for a job, like in the post-Reconstruction. And you have to figure at this time, a lot of people are just getting fucking rich. Like, I don't know who they are, Sure. But there's a group of people somewhere who are just raking in the fucking bucks. He thinks this is a great opportunity. He goes over there, and the day that he shows up, he finds out that his friend is dead, has been killed in a car crash, and he actually shows up on the day of his funeral, which kind of all sets it up from there. There, he goes on this sort of mission to figure out how his friend was killed, with a very adversarial, kind of tone that, no one over there seems to be too interested in. Like, everybody just kind of wants to keep their head down. The war's over. We don't want a single one more. We don't want one more fucking thing to fight over.
Exactly.
The guy's showing up, and he's, yelling and, calling people names and, all kinds of shit. And, what did you think of Cotton's performance?
I mean, he's kind of the ugly American. He's sort of, I thought it was ironic that he was a writer of Westerns, because he starts to take on this sort of cowboy mentality. Like, here I am to save the day. And, he's not in the the West. He's in bombed out Vienna, which, you know,
Right.
he's finding all of his bravado being just shot back at him, or withered, you know, with the way that people are reacting.
I thought it, go ahead, John.
No, to me, the bravado that he was presenting was perfect, because it was, and I know this is the wrong word, but the buffoonish character that he winds up being, because everybody else has been through a war.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they kind of look at him like, "Are you kidding me?" I mean, with the exception of one or two people who are basically wanting to use him for something. He comes in like, you know, I'm going to figure this out and everything else. I remember he's saying that to the French captain, that he was staying and going to figure out this mystery. And the captain goes, yeah. Just dismisses him with a wave of a hand. Good luck with that.
I thought it was interesting that he wasn't a veteran.
Yeah.
You know, like he must have been the only guy in America that like didn't fight in some theater of war. And then after all that shit, he just comes over like, you know, he's going to start smacking people around like Bogart in some movie. And it doesn't work out. And I love that the British people, like, they're so gentle with him, but like that one Sergeant Payne, like he's drunk and he tries to swing on that major, and the sergeant just clips him like in the jaw. Oh, I'm sorry, sir. Please watch where you're going. You know, they're just kind of like, who is this fucking idiot? You know, like, get him back on the flight tomorrow and get him out of here.
There's depth to all the characters, and you get the feeling like this guy is just in over his head, and all these characters have layers and subtleties about them where you know, Cotten has none, you know.
Yeah. Well, he thinks he knows the world, or he thinks he's worldly, and then he sees it.
Yeah.
That's when he kind of goes, "Oh, I haven't a clue."
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you know, these people have had their countries bombed out, and, you know, here comes Cotten over here. I also liked, and maybe because I'm just watching this for the second time, but the second time I watched it, I don't think I'm pretty positive I didn't pick this up the first time. You just get the impression that everybody knows that this story is a lie.
Right.
Did you get that impression? Like everybody, like there's the one time where he's on the street talking to the old man, and like his wife scurries, his wife scurries him back inside, and like people are looking up, you know, like sweeping the street. They just stop what they're doing and like listen to this conversation. Like everybody knows the truth except for him.
Right. Yeah. Right.
You know, he's just not part of the inner circle. He's not going to be part of the inner circle. But as the movie progresses, I actually begin to really like the Holly Martin's character because he is trying to get to the truth. And at the same time, we as a viewing audience, because I had forgotten a lot of it, it'd probably been 20 years since I watched it, had forgotten a lot of who his friend actually is or was. You know, because like from his perspective, he's looking at it. Look, I'm just trying to find out what happened to my friend. My friend is dead, you know, and nobody can give me a straight answer. I just attended a funeral for a guy, you know, that I've known for 20 years. You know, I'm just trying to get some straight answers. It's just that the more, you know, and then you find out that, you know, the Welles character, Harry Lime, is you keep hearing that he's a racketeer. And so when I heard that the first time, I'm like, well, everybody over there is a fucking racketeer right now, like whether it's cigarettes or alcohol or, you know, clothing or, you know, food or, you know, the fine chocolates or, you know, if you want to have a party, you know, you got to talk to this guy. I didn't see what the big deal was. Did anybody else pick up on that, or were you just, you know, like I was just like, why are they singling this guy out, especially the British major who like really was like dogging after you know the Harry Lime's, the Orson Welles character.
Yeah, I did pick up on that, and that's what I mean by not being cynical enough. Like with all this horror and all this shit that these people are going through, when it comes to the end, they're like, "Look at this baby. It needs penicillin." Like, it's like they're trying to draw this line of like, yeah, chocolate and coffee and clothing and food and tires, all that material stuff is fine, but look what you're doing to these babies by trying to set up a syndicate that controls the medicine.
Well, John, go ahead.
No, I was just love the fact that when Holly was going around and talking to people, everybody seemed to have a different impersonation of who the Orson Welles character was.
Yeah.
For some, he was a lover. For some, he was, he was a great guy, lovely, and he hung out at this club, and to the French captain, he was the ultimate evil. Kids are dying because of him.
Yeah, he was the devil.
And here's his friend going, wait, this is none of you are describing the guy I know, which I kind of liked because nobody knew him. By the time you figured it out, nobody actually knew who the hell he was.
Right.
Yeah. I kind of like that.
Yeah. We get more into who he is, well, later in the film, but then we start to get introduced to the sort of the female lead here, Ada Schmidt. And I thought it was interesting that they went far enough into, because this was written by Graham Greene. The script was written by Graham Greene, and Graham Greene is just one of my all-time favorite writers.
Right.
Whether it be Monsignor Quixote, which is just one of my all-time favorites, The End of the Affair, just anything that he writes, I'm just a rabid fan of. I thought it was interesting that they took this character who was Harry Lime's, love interest, lover, whatever you want to call her, who was actually, because I don't know if you knew this or not, Graham Greene was actually, during the war, he was a member of MI6. And MI6 recruited him as Graham Greene, the author, who could go places as a famous person and, maybe learn things, so on and so forth. He did a memoir on it called Ways of Escape. That's just a fantastic read. But I thought it was interesting that this character who Martins meets as his friend's girlfriend, lover, whatever you want to call it, but there's also a depth to her in the sense that she's really not German or Viennese, like she's Czechoslovakian. And so she's working on a forged passport because guess what? Like the Soviets have orders to confiscate everybody that belongs to the lands that they've now taken over. And she desperately wants to avoid that. Like she doesn't want to go and like they will come and physically grab you and do that. And I thought that was just like such a humanizing detail all the way around. Like it added sort of this, they called them Russians, but it added this sort of menace to the Soviets that they were kind of kidnapping people back then. If you didn't want to go, you really didn't have any say in the matter. And, it's sort of, where the Western powers were kind of throwing up their hands saying, well, what can we really do, with all these people? It made her much more human, a much more human and fragile character. I love her. She's my favorite character.
It's a really interesting way that they set this up. It's way too early for it to be out and out anti-Soviet sort of propaganda. So I kind of felt like it was almost like a real depiction of the frustration with the bureaucracy involved in the partitioning of those cities. And you can see the same thing happening in like Berlin. I thought they played it off pretty well, even though and they made the Russians come off in their performance sort of like buffoonish almost. It's like they're sort of buffoons, but evil buffoons, which I really like.
Yeah, they're kind of like henchmen. They're kind of the henchmen of the movie. Like that when they finally take her. That I think it's there's an American, like all people from all four, the British, the French, the Russians, and the Americans come to get her. And that one guy, he goes, I apologize, miss. We just got to follow protocols. The American guy, she's like, I don't know what that means. He goes, neither do I, miss. You know, like
Right.
we're just following orders. You know, we don't even know what it means. You know, that sort of thing. She is a fantastic character in this because she's complicated and she could easily just be the damsel in distress, but at times she's so fucking infuriating.
Yeah.
Because she is the stereotypical woman who goes after the bad boy. You know, she just it is to the core. Go ahead, John.
Right. She also it was a good character to call everybody else out on things, like a little bit of their hypocrisy. Like I like the fact that they thought she was German, but she was actually Czechoslovakian. It was a good example of how everybody in the movie is not who they seem. And for her, she's one of the few who calls she called out Holly's character. She called out the French character. Called them out for who they are. And a lot of the times they didn't argue with her. They went, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And welcome to 1949 Vienna.
Yeah.
You know, it's what the world is now.
Yeah, people are just trying to survive. You know, we're just trying to survive. You know, I love that he goes back to her place. Martins goes back to her place. And she's like, you want some whiskey? He's like, no. She's like, oh, good. I was going to sell this. You know,
you
want some tobacco? You know, somebody threw this on stage. You know, a couple like the people are like gifting in goods. That is the currency. Goods are the currency. Money is not currency here anymore. You know, it's barter and trade in these sorts of things. And so you could see in that particular situation how somebody like Harry Lime, you know, would be attractive because he probably is, you know, playing all the angles. He's got access to things. You know, he's got, you know, he probably does have money. You know, he's got good. He's probably living. I mean, I love when you finally do see Orson Welles. He's just got that big old round fat face. You know, like everybody is struggling, and there he is. You know, he got a nice pair of wingtips on. You know,
and he just smiles.
I love that.
He just smiles like, oops. You know, you caught me. And that's amazing. And it's considered one of the best entrances, or one of the best entrances in film history. Just because you hear about him and then you see him and you're like, son of a bitch, of course, I'd probably like him too. You know?
We all know that guy. Whether it's your buddy who deals drugs or whatever, or whoever it is, we all know a dude like him.
There he is. Look at that face, man.
Yeah.
Look at it. You know, and he's a complete son of a bitch. And he probably, I thought he was evil watching him this second time around because Harry Lime's biggest concern is Harry Lime. You know, the
evil gets spelled out when they're on the Ferris wheel and he starts just giving every justification, and you're like, you fuck.
Yeah, he doesn't care. He doesn't really. Yeah, he doesn't care. Like he doesn't care, and I love that they take the time to go through, like, because what he's been doing is stealing medical supplies, penicillin. It's not like he's selling it back at outrageous cost. He's diluting the penicillin, not informing people that he's done this, and then selling it back to them, and people are dying and having catastrophic results from these penicillins. And when you finally meet him, as charming as he is, he doesn't give a fuck.
Right.
He doesn't give a fuck. Like, all he cares about is himself. And in that moment on the Ferris wheel, you see that he's thinking about killing his friend. He's thinking about shoving him out. He's like, no one would look for a bullet if you fell from this height. You know, with that kind of fall, like no one would, you know, he's evil, but he's charming.
Right. I know. I like how throughout the film, all the characters that we meet, you start to think that they are the bad guys because they all have these quirks and all have these angles that they're playing, like the Duke and of course the woman, but they're all in survival mode, as we said, whereas Harry is truly evil, and he doesn't have that. He's the smooth guy, or all the rest of them are rough around the edges.
He's thriving in it.
Right.
Everybody else is surviving. He's thriving I mean, when he looked out down from the Ferris wheel and said to Holly, "I could give you $20,000 if you point to one, and they would drop dead right now."
Right.
And you wouldn't get shot. I bet you would do 3. I bet you could pick 3 right now. He points out to everybody else, "You're no different."
Yeah.
And I love that because the way he does it, there's no malice. He's like, it's just the way the world is.
He's indifferent. He gives one of the most famous speeches in all of film in this, where he talks about the cuckoo clock. He's like, "Hey, we had the Borgias for 30 years. What did you have?
Yep.
You had war, you had famine, you had, all violence and bloodshed." Did you watch the Tubi version, Bill? Because you're looking like you didn't.
No, I'm listening to you very intently. I'm just trying to, get what you're saying.
You're doing a good Orson Welles impression.
Yeah, he goes, "Well, we had war, we had bloodshed, we had famine, all these things, the Borgias for 30 years." But he goes, "It also produced Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, and all these great artists." He goes, "And look over here, you had Switzerland. They had brotherly love for 500 years. What did they produce? The cuckoo clock."
Yeah.
The cuckoo clock. That's like one of the most famous speeches, and it's very brief. It's not like Brana doing Henry V. That kind of thing. But it's just that's his perspective. Out of this chaos, some good, something fantastic is going to be produced. It's going to be bloody. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be raw. But fuck it. This is just the way it is. And if someone's going to be on top, it's going to be me.
He wrote that. Orson Welles actually wrote that little monologue.
Oh, did he write the speech?
He wrote that. There was a vicious rumor running around that he actually helped co-direct.
Yeah, he did not.
And he did not. He stopped
I was
that.
Surprised about that.
He said he said that's and he didn't want to take any credit for the good work Carol did.
Right.
But they asked him to do something, and he came up with that on the spot. And Greene said, "Keep it." It was perfect for his character.
In many, like we said, these people are in survival mode. They're in a bombed out, sort of city that's slowly being rebuilt. Fractious sort of law enforcement. It's just, and so everybody else is kind of the same way. Everybody's fractured. Everyone's just trying to get by. Everybody's just ethically, everybody's just compromised. Everybody in this is compromised. Because in any sane world, the British would stop those Soviet guys from just grabbing a woman out of her apartment and confiscating her back to Czechoslovakia. They don't. Right. They're just like, what can I do?
Exactly.
He's just coldly pragmatic. Hey, this is my chance to make money. This is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to think about it. This is my chance to make money, not have an ethical concern.
Mm-hmm.
So that's exactly what it is. And hey, I invited. Why does he invite Martins over there? Is it just to join him in the fun?
What did he want him to do for him? I've never been clear about that. Like, what was this job that he was going to give him?
I thought he said he was going to write for him, like write promotions for him doing the penicillin, because that's what he said. The job was for him to write certain promotions for him, is what I remember him saying in the beginning of the movie. That's why it bothered him, because Holly was sitting there thinking, if I was that good of a writer, he probably could have sold more of this bad medicine. And he was making it about himself.
It's funny because as Martin starts to understand what Orson Welles is doing, he starts to remember all these different things throughout the years where, like, if somebody got in trouble, somehow Orson Welles always got out of it.
Right.
Like, somehow they were all in it together, but then when the shit hit the fan, Orson Welles was somewhere else. He managed to, get himself away just in time for, oh, sorry that happened to you. When I took off, something like that. He's always been that way.
It makes you wonder, what is their friendship based on? Why do they like each other? Because they went to the same school? Or is there some kind of form of friendship in the 40s that we don't do today. I mean, why?
Right.
Why does he have so much loyalty to this guy that he flies over to Vienna and wants to be a one-man wrecking crew to solve the murder? You know, because when he starts thinking about it, he's like, well, this guy was always an asshole.
Well, I think that's just it. He hasn't thought about it. He has Orson Welles. I mean, we see it as, you know, as how evil he really is, but he has a magnetic personality. And so if you're just sort of naive, which Cotten clearly is, Joseph Cotten's character clearly is naive. Yeah. He's the epitome of like out of his depth. Mm-hmm. Then, you know, I'm sure, you know, Wells keeps him around because he's harmless and, you know, maybe he enjoys his company even, you know, that sort of thing. But
he's my sidekick.
Yeah, he's just kind of my sidekick. I keep him around, and you know, he doesn't really cause any harm. And if there is any trouble, I'm smart enough to get away fast enough, you know.
Right.
So it's probably one of those uneven friendships. I don't even know if you would call it a friendship.
Right. That makes the Brits more charming. So I noticed through the whole movie, there's no comedy relief in this. If there's any comedy relief, it's those
British
guys.
Yeah.
But what made me laugh was it wasn't them being funny so much as their bemused, you know, detached sort of watching this thing play out, especially the sergeant. But the colonel's always having a drink with this guy and just sort of, you know, befriending him almost or you know, like a big brother almost, just like, oh, this poor motherfucker's caught up in all this. Have a whiskey, you poor guy.
I think he's
trying to. I'm sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
No. Go right ahead.
Oh no, I was just thinking they were always like you said, big brother. But I was thinking of like, let me put my arm around you. This is what you know. You're not getting it. You know, this is what he is.
Yeah,
they're the more realist of the group.
That's what I mean, is that they're doing it in such a charming, almost funny way. It's almost like that's the comic relief, especially the sergeant.
Yeah.
He's just hilarious in the way that he's approaching this whole situation.
But I think they were always militant or angry. It would kind of defeat the purpose anyway. So they look like they're another antagonist to Cotton's character.
Mm-hmm.
I think the way they're trying to do it, because that's what he keeps saying, go home. All right, fine. If you're going to be here, shut up and listen.
Right.
You know, that type deal. I kind of like that a lot.
Yeah, I think by and large, even though the British are also in a sort of survival mode, they're doing just, you know, what they have to do, so to speak. They're not bad people. And I think they're trying to protect him. And then when, you know, they sort of figure out, well, wait a minute, maybe we can actually take a real bad guy down here. You know, if we have to make him feel a little guilty to do it, then, you know, that's something we're willing to do. You know, oh, sorry, you're going to have to see what your friend has actually done here, that you were coming over to help. And, hey, maybe you actually have a conscience and will help us take this guy down. Because I'm jumping a little bit ahead. By the time we get to the end where we're in the sewers, like, I love that it's everybody. Like it's all four factions. No, it's okay. It's all four factions. Like everybody, like this guy has to go. Right. You know, he's going. It's like what Bill said. You know, selling cigarettes and booze is one thing. You know, if you're running the black market on tobacco, diluting medications that kill children.
Yeah.
Just for profit is another thing entirely. It's like that movie M with Peter Lorre. Eventually, the criminals even decide that there's some lines you can't murder children. You know, no, we can't abide that. We're not abiding this. We're going to stop him.
I found it interesting film-wise that a lot of the times you saw the old man from the window. He's like elevated because he's like maybe the most innocent in the whole thing. He's elevated when we find out who he is, suddenly we're in the sewers, like underground, like you know, you're in this pit. I thought that was very good symbolic filmmaking right there.
Yeah. There are just Go ahead, John.
Oh, no, go ahead. I'm jumping ahead again. Go ahead.
No. I was just going to say there are fantastic shots in this movie. Fantastic shots. Like when Orson Welles, his fingers come through the grate.
That's what I was going to mention.
Yeah, he's trying to like escape, and no, not this time. No, not this time. The little boy, when he sort of infers that maybe he killed the old man, and like the town turns on him. The shot with the balloon peddler.
Yeah.
Did
you notice that they didn't bother putting any subtitles up at all? Almost that like all of the foreign language, all the German being spoken was all you could make your own influence. You could understand what was being said, even though you might not necessarily understand the language itself.
See, I took it as you're supposed to feel the confusion.
Right.
Like you're supposed to feel what Cotton's character is feeling, like out of place. Like, I don't know what these people are saying.
Right.
Sometimes they're saying it loud. Sometimes they're, whispering to each other, or like if I'm the third person, they're having like this brief second, conversation, that I'm just not a piece of. Is that a good thing? Is that an innocent thing? Is that a, and so that's what I got out of it. But, everybody gets their own
and
thing.
It was also picked up after that to become in film noir filmmaking. After that, there was always that exclusion, even though the person was right next to them. They do it in English now, but I love the fact that they were speaking in a foreign language. That's also the producer, Selznick. He wasn't afraid of them just speaking, because it does add to that.
Yeah.
You're like, because you want to, as an audience member, I'm going to watch it and I want to say, what the hell is going on? And then when they're speaking a language I don't know, I'm like, fuck, I'm not getting this quick enough. I mean, I really did. I love the fact that the old man's wife kept telling him every time he was giving him a little bit. No, that's okay.
Yeah, this is dangerous. No.
You need to stop now.
Yeah.
I love the fact that Harry, you didn't even have to see him, and you saw the fear from people.
Yeah.
I mean, I love that. Was such a nice touch in this movie.
Yeah.
He wasn't just everywhere when he wasn't.
He wasn't some happy-go-lucky guy who was just doing some really awful shit. Like, he killed people. Right. There was a dead man. That was his connection to the medical supplies in his coffin.
That was deep and dark. That was dark.
Yeah. He killed his partner. He killed his partner and put him in his coffin. This was not a nice guy. Not a nice guy.
He was not.
And yet you have this Anna character who is just completely loyal to him.
Right.
She's going down with the ship. I think that we see the final scene where Martins is going to take one last crack at it, before he gets on that plane, and the British guy's like, oh, this guy's just he's got it bad. I'm just driving away, like I can't watch this. She walks past. Now, that's kind of how it ends.
He was useless at that point. There was no more. Like, he was just the definition of a guy being used by everybody, used by the Brits to catch this guy, used by Lime, used by her. It was that's the total symbol of you're done, buddy. We don't.
She just says you're not worth it. You ain't Harry.
Yeah, well, but something, at the same time, I felt that he did the right thing.
Right. So did I.
He was used for the purposes of doing the right thing. It was the right thing, even though it was his friend, to put him down like a fucking mad dog, because that's what he was.
That's what I mean by not cynical enough, is that, if this movie was made today, even he would be unwilling to do it. It wouldn't make sense otherwise. But they're just like appealing to his better nature. Look at these kids. Look at these kids in this crib. feel bad
Yeah.
and help us stop this guy, even though we're in the middle of a deep, deep black market. Your friend is bad,
Well, your friend is the worst.
Mm.
Yeah.
Your friend is the worst. The
Out
worst.
of all the barracudas, he's the shark.
Yeah, of all the fucking barracudas, this guy is the great white. Like,
Yeah.
this is tipping the scales. This is the one guy who's tipping, because like I said, you can abide some things. There's some things you can't abide. But I felt that in the end that Martins had done the right thing. And I just thought it was funny as she walked away. I thought about it afterwards. I'm like, I think some part of her knows that he did the right thing and that he's right. And that's another reason why she's just not going to stop. And I was thinking, I was like, if Bill shows up here, I'm going to say this. So now I'm going to say it. I said, we got one person on this panel who's married, but all three of us know it's been 77 years since this movie rolled. She's probably still walking before she admits that she was wrong about something.
You can get me in trouble.
I think she would even admit she's right, yet I don't forgive you. It's like,
I don't think she would even admit that he was right. I don't think so. Because she's been proven wrong like at every turn. Right. Like she had a chance to leave. She rips the fucking ticket up. He's a murderer. He's like poisoning children. And in that one scene in the cafe where he's trying to get her back on the train. And she calls him like a snitch, like a cop collaborator. Like you're supposed to collaborate. Bill taught me this a long time ago. You're actually in a functioning society. You're supposed to cooperate with the police. That's the way it fucking works, And so she's wrong there. And so what ends up happening, it ends up kind of going the way that she insists on it, because they could have taken Wells alive. Right. And he probably would have went to jail maybe for 20 years, but he would have lived, but she comes in and inserts all of her bullshit and, he ends up getting killed. So I think that's another reason why she's never going to turn around, because she would have to admit that all of those things, she was complicit in as well as enjoying the lifestyle that he was probably providing for her.
Right. She wasn't exactly deprived.
No, she wasn't a babe in the. She wasn't a babe in the woods, man.
No,
she wasn't an
evil. Be an actress and get paid.
Yeah, she wasn't. She wasn't innocent in this movie.
No, no. Hold on a second. Let me see.
What do we got?
What else do we got? Hold on, I'm looking at some behind the scenes here. Carol Greene and Graham Greene collaborated closely with daily debate shaping the film. Reed's insistence on the bleak ending over Greene's happier draft was a defining choice, which Greene later praised. I can't imagine this film. I suppose the happy ending could have been where she admits that she's wrong and they end up smooching, and then the noir sort of happy black and white music ends and the end, that kind of thing.
And I would have hated it myself.
Yeah, kind of sort of. It would have been.
I would have hated it.
It would have been what your brother Joe used to call a white hat ending. He hated fucking white hat endings. Yeah, your brother did not like those. Yeah.
That's because my dad used to like them.
It reminds me of Clerks, how they took that last scene out where Dante gets
killed. Yeah. What did you think of the score? I love the score.
Oh, that was brilliant. The whatever that instrument was. It's just this gypsy jazz being played on this great old old stringed instrument. It was fantastic.
I love that.
And it was a hit. It was a hit when the movie came out. It actually scored on the charts. People loved that.
Yeah. It says Reed found it's a Zither or a Zither player, Anton Karas, in a Viennese cafe and hired him to score the film. The music recorded in a single day. He did all this in a single day. Became a cultural phenomenon, selling millions of records. Yeah.
And they gave him none of the money.
Yeah. How much?
Still playing in the bar.
Yeah. Hold on. Greene conceived The Third Man from a single sentence written on an envelope 20 years earlier. Quote, I had paid my last farewell to Harry a week ago when his coffin was lowered into the frozen February ground, so that it was with incredulity that I saw him pass by without sign of recognition among the hosts of strangers in the Strand. End quote. This sparked the story when producer Alexander Korda commissioned a screenplay about occupied Vienna. Greene wrote the novella in 1948 as a way to flesh out the plot, characters, and atmosphere before crafting the screenplay, a process he found essential for screenwriting. He never intended it for publication, but the film's success led to its release in 1950. So, I mean, again, you know, you go to pay farewell at your buddy's funeral, and then your buddy passes you by a couple of days later. You're like, am I in a fucking Dracula movie? Like, what the fuck is going on here? You know, is this the Blue for a Lady? What the fuck?
And that's since become a trope, but I assume that it was all original at that time.
That's funny.
Could you make a film like this today and have it be successful? Do people have the attention span for this kind of thing? I don't see anybody. Maybe the very older millennials. Maybe.
I could see it being successful if it was done well and it was done as an indie. It could probably do well on like A24 and find an audience.
Yeah, an art house film, art house film. Right. Yeah, some sort of thing like this. Yeah.
It would be something like the old
Liam
days.
Neeson as the Brit Colonel.
Huh?
There you go.
Liam Neeson as the Brit Colonel.
Oh, he would be great. Yeah, he would be great. He would be great. They don't really make anything World War II anymore. I mean, you know, I guess now they're making, you know, we just saw Warfare. I just got a copy of that on Blu-ray.
Oh, Warfare was great.
Yeah.
But there's a new World War II movie coming out about Tiger tanks.
Oh, really?
So, you know, World War II movies are all action movies, even if they have heft to them like Fury, but I don't know that they make many things set in World War II or post-World War II in the way that they used to in that era.
Well, I read an article, and not to go too far off this, but it's kind of similar. Somebody said you couldn't make Casablanca today. You know, 40 years ago, you could remake it, but they don't see that now. They don't see it this way. The only one I could think you could probably pull it off was a young Christopher Nolan when he was, you know, Pimento, which was kind of film noirish type deal. You would need somebody of that caliber to take on all the intricate details to do a movie like this today.
But are there noirs or noir-like movies being made that are set in the like milieu of, you know, the 2000s instead of, you know, post-war?
I would say The Usual Suspects.
Yeah, that's good.
That was a movie you'd say was one of them. You know, what's the one that I can't remember? It's John Cusack and Annette Bening and Angelica Houston. They were grifters.
Yeah, that was good.
That was another one.
That was a good one. Yeah,
like that.
Yeah, with John Cusack
30 years ago. You know.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. I'm looking here. Well, I mean, Guillermo del Toro, Neo-Noir, Nightmare Alley, he did that.
Okay.
Gone, Baby, Gone. Yeah, that was all right.
Yeah, maybe.
Man, what was the one with Tony Soprano? It's the Coen brothers. Not the man who knew too little. The man who wasn't there.
Oh,
the man who wasn't there.
I wish it was The Man Who Knew Too Little. I love that fucking movie with Bill Murray.
Same here.
Oh, I love that. The evil lady torturer. Oh no, I love that fucking
movie. Very underrated comedy.
Oh my god, I love that. That's one of my favorite Bill Murray movies. The Man Who Knew Too Little. That was it. They don't make them like that anymore, man. Yeah, hold on. I'm looking at some modern noir.
Actually, Blood Simple is another example.
LA Confidential.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I never saw Angel Heart. Oh, but Bill's right.
We're talking Angel Heart. Yeah,
we're talking about 40-year-old movies.
40-year-old movies. Yeah, we are.
Yeah, but I can't think of any in today's, like the past 20 years, unless you
somebody put out
in the independent area.
Somebody put in Blade Runner 2049.
I never saw it, so I couldn't tell you.
God, I love that movie.
I don't know why. I just never caught it when it came out.
Oh, if you get a chance, man, that is a worthy fucking sequel.
Mm-hmm. Heard it from people. It just fell out of my view at the time.
It ain't going nowhere. If you seriously get a chance to watch it, sit down and like watch it. Like you need to watch that fucking movie. Like you can't do it while you're like folding clothes or some shit like that. And like you have to sit down and watch.
Have you seen my wardrobe? It's never full.
What about that flick that just came out with Joaquin Phoenix and
Eddington?
Yeah, Eddington.
I don't know if that's noir.
Does it qualify as a noir? Like I don't know the plot. I didn't see the movie, but
I saw it.
Okay.
See, Joaquin Phoenix would actually make a good character in a film noir. You know, I could see his type of acting, and he would make a great detective.
It's kind of I guess you could call it a Western noir. Yeah, sorry. It's a Western about COVID.
There was that series on HBO that first had Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson.
True Detective.
That first one, I think, could fall into a
that's noir. That's noir.
Yeah.
There are so many good. Go ahead.
But look at where it had to go. It was cable, or streaming. That's where you're going to find it.
And they're going to be limited series. It's going to be one of those, 5 or 7 episodes limited series kind of things. Yeah, which is fine because you can flesh it out a lot more if it's done correctly. You get something like a True Detective.
Sometimes they flesh it out a little too much.
Sometimes.
Well, that's the point.
Like Ozark, where there's 4 episodes that didn't need to be there, and that could have been pared down to a 2.5 hour movie.
Yeah, or it could have been a like 3 seasons instead of 5.
Right.
That sort of thing.
Right.
That sort of thing. All right. Is there anything about this film that we have not discussed that you would like to get into?
Can I mention the fact about the guy who was trying to use Holly to do the lecture?
Oh,
that was being used that way.
Yeah. What do
Holly
you
was
think
being used by everybody, and this guy was like, "No." He's like, "Well, what do you want me to talk about? It doesn't matter."
Yeah.
That's the fact.
I loved him, and I loved the sergeant in this movie, but that guy, I've known too many people who have done events that were just like that. And you're like, well, what do you want? Oh, just go out.
And the way he's reacting when like Holly doesn't know what to do and he's just putting his head in his hands like Jesus Christ. This whole thing. People are just getting up and leaving. Right. James Joyce.
I loved that scene. Yeah. I really did. I was laughing out loud. I forgot how much
you've got a bunch of snobby European lit people, who are probably starved for some sort of conversation because they've been getting their asses bombed for 10 fucking years, and then you've got some pulpy, fucking, Western writer who's writing the Oklahoma, like the absolute wrong person, you're like, what do you want from me? This kind of thing. But that did, between the British just being British, which was funny.
Yes.
And that was good humor, and you needed it in this film. So
I agree.
Just there's a reason that he's broke and going to Vienna because his friend has a job for him.
Yeah,
and I even love how they got him there when the driver just puts him in the car.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You have no idea where he's going, and then it's that.
Have you been authorized to kill me? Like what is that?
Yeah. He's looking at what are you talking about? I have no idea what you're talking about.
You're late. Just get up there.
I really did. I loved that because I was like, that's just too funny.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
All right. So just so we're clear, last question. There is nobody on this panel that believes at any point Anna and Holly get together.
No.
Okay.
No, it's not happening.
Okay. Fair enough. So do you think he gets back on the plane? He gets on the plane, or do you think he just follows her around for? Because that's what I was like. He doesn't move. He doesn't seem to react. Like he seems almost unfazed by the fact that she walks right past him. Like so you're telling me there's a chance. It's like one of those kinds of things.
he might just be done with it too. He just might be going back home.
Yeah, he did have to just kill his, one of his he had to kill one of his oldest friends.
Yeah.
And I still say he did the right thing. He did the right thing, and it's the terrible thing that he had to, the thing that his friend, the position his friend put him in was god awful, Yeah,
I think the last thing he's talking about is getting laid at that point.
Well, taking it from the writer's point of view, he's probably going, I feel horrible, but this is going to make a great book. He's writing the notes down for it.
Right.
I mean,
that's what he said.
But he's going to do it. They all used him. It's his turn.
He gets confronted at one point. He's like, I'm writing kind of fast. I'm blending fact and fiction together here. That one guy starts to call him out at the speakers event.
I give him 2 years and the book is out. And I'm not, and I hate to say it, but it's true.
He deserves, man. If anybody deserves it, he does. He just came over there for a fucking job. He is like Dante. I'm not even supposed to be here today. It's like one of those things. All right, let's get to the part in the stream where we rate the film. This channel has a rating system that goes from 0 to 5 up by halves. So 0, 0.5, 1, 1.5, all the way to 5. So 0, for example, would be I'd rather wear slimy underwear every day rather than watch this movie again, all the way to 5, which is this is the journey, this is the destination, this is why I watch films in the first place. Let's go right to John K. Alvarez, The Third Wheel. What would you give Carol Reed's The Third Man? And this is a really crappy transfer that I bought for like $3, but I'm going to keep it because it's better than paying $30 for a Criterion collection.
Right. In the very beginning of the movie, when the voiceover goes, I'm not seeing Vienna at its best. I'm not seeing it with Strauss playing and whatever. Once I heard that the first time and I heard it again this time, it sucked me right in. It's a 5 for me. Sorry.
Okay. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I went right to that world.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Don't be sorry about that.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the late man. What do you got for us? You barely made it here in time. We've had to kick the can on this twice, but here we are. Thank you for bearing with me, both of you. What do you got for me with the third man? You're going to be the fourth man.
I'm happy to give it a 5. I can't not give it a 5. I don't have a good argument to not give it a 5. I'll tell you that the cinematography, the music, the characters just all come to life. And for whatever minor problems the film might have with pacing or performance somewhere, it's still in a world of trite, corny, just crap, cookie cutter black and white movies from that era. This is head and shoulders above all of them.
Okay, that works. I am going with 5. I can't think of anything to criticize really without picking that shit out of Pepper.
Exactly.
And I don't like to do that. So, 5. It's just a great story. It's a great story about a man who's just walked into something that he's not prepared for and has to do some really awful things that his friend kind of forces him to do. And I started off this stream saying, do you ever really know somebody? He knew this guy for 20 years. And just, it's a terrible, terrible ending in that it's not a happy ending. But it's just the performances are just stellar. Joseph Cotten, not one of my favorite actors. I'm not always talking about Joseph Cotten, but it's fantastic here. Yeah. Orson Welles, fantastic here. Everybody. Just wonderful, wonderful fucking film. And in a movie where, in a time where, you go to a film and you hope, that you could, make a decent defense for it, like there's none of that here. This is just fucking solid. Solid. 24 karat.
It just makes you wonder how Orson Welles went from that to, whatever that product was he used to sell.
Paul Masson.
Yeah, Paul Masson. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't know why before it's time. Come on now.
What do you mean? They gave him some free hoosh, man. What do you mean?
That's right. If you get a chance about Orson Welles, because Orson Welles does, he has moments where he bounces up and down. This is the weirdest one.
Yeah.
When he used to do those roast for the Dean
Martin
roast.
Don Rickles and Dean Martin roast.
They did a Jimmy Stewart roast, and Orson Welles writes an ode to Jimmy Stewart, and it's absolutely beautiful. Jimmy Stewart was like, wow, he didn't know what to say when he was doing it. Orson Welles wrote this tribute to him about being the American actor, and it's brilliant. Because you forget that Orson Welles was also a hell of a writer.
Yeah.
And it kind of gets ignored every now and then.
People don't talk.
As a direct... Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, people don't talk about Orson Welles anymore. Nobody talks about Citizen Kane. Nobody talks about The Third Man. Nobody talks about A Touch of Evil.
Film students.
Are there that many films? I don't know any film students anymore. I mean,
you ever see the Battling
I work with a film student, and he doesn't know a hell of a lot, but he does know Orson Welles.
Okay,
he's 20.
That's what he thinks about the Battling Andersons. He wrote a movie that was called The Battling Andersons that people said was better than Citizen Kane, and then the studio hacked it up and gave it a happy ending. And that's when he swore he was never doing this with the studios again. Because there's a rumor running around that they found the original script and they want to use AI and actually make the movie that Orson Welles had. They want to do it that way. And as one person put it, I hate it. And the minute it comes out, I'm going to the movie theater to watch it. Because I want to see his complete work.
That's interesting, using AI to create director's cuts. That's really cool.
If you get a chance to see his Othello that he did.
Yeah.
It's because he became not so much a caricature of himself, but he kind of just gave up at the end.
Yeah.
I mean, Christ. I think it's one of his last performances on film. It was in the original Muppet movie.
Well,
he was the studio guy at the end.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, a Muppet movie.
He's also
about him in Catch 22.
I liked him in Catch 22. I really did.
Have you guys seen Touch of Evil with him and Charlton Heston?
Oh God, yeah.
Holy shit! That's like one of the greatest films of all fucking time.
It's called Touch of Evil.
Touch of Evil down at the Mexican border.
When Charlton Heston plays a Mexican guy. Yeah, I saw that in the theater. Got to be 30 years ago now. The art theater near us had a showing.
I would have loved to have seen that in the movie theater.
So would I. We're gonna cover that at some point.
That's a good. There you go, Orson Welles for January.
And I love Orson. I
love to cover Orson Welles.
Yeah. All right. Fuck it. I could talk Orson Welles. Oh my God! Yeah, that just made the hair on my arm stand up. Talking about some fucking Welles. All right. The late man, plug something.
I got nothing to plug. My last gig got rained out. Don't know when there's going to be another one, so just look for the band Soup Sandwich around in central New Jersey.
Okay. Third Wheel, you got anything for me?
It's going to be really far off in the future, but there's a good chance I'm going to be in a pictorial book for the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence.
No.
There was a woman.
You're not that
old. I look good for it. 250 is the new 200. But there was a woman coming who was taking pictures of our Revolutionary War weekend. And me and another historian talked her into coming back for last weekend's Civil War reenactment weekend. Okay. We had 200 Civil War reenactors. She shows up. She's taking all these pictures of me because I'm doing a debate. One guy was Andrew Jackson and I was Clay. And we were doing a debate. And she's taking these pictures and talking to us. And she's saying, like I posted a couple of them that she took on Facebook. She's like, the people I'm working for really like your pictures. You might be in this book. I said, I'll be happy. Spell my name right.
Tell me twice.
Well, that's it. I'll be more than happy to be there.
All right.
Picture of this fuzzy face. I'll be good. Golden.
There you go. There you go. All right. Well, keep us posted on that one.
I will.
All right. For this channel, I was going to do a stream next week on another fucking classic, The Wages of Fear, which is if you might know the remake that Friedkin made many years later called Sorcerer, which is about 4 guys who are hired to take a truckload of nitroglycerin up a mountain. They're just hard on their luck up to a mine. To put out a fire that's broken in this like oil field or something. And it's just like this ultimate fucking suspense movie. We probably will get to that in the future. Have to kick the can on that a little bit because what we're going to be doing actually, even though that was the original plan, we're going to be doing a dedication stream to the recently departed Robert Redford, who is another favorite. 2025 has been a rough year, I think, for Gen Xers in terms of the people we grew up with passing.
Yep.
And there's still 3 months to go. And so we don't know who's next.
Hasn't been this rough since Bowie kicked it.
Yeah. I remember when that happened. I stood up in what the fuck when I found out that Bowie had died.
Right.
I was like, no fucking shit. Jesus Christ. Ozzy. Who else this year? David Lynch.
Phil Lesh.
John Amos passed away.
John Amos passed away. Tony Todd. Who passed away right before? Gene Hackman. Who passed away right before Ozzy though? It was like Hogan. Hogan passed right after that. Hogan. So Gen X is just having a very rough year. All of our childhood people are just passing. So we're going to be talking about Robert Redford. And another one of my all-time favorite films is Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Yep. I fucking love that movie. And you can just watch it at any time. Looking forward to talking about that. As many people as wish to attend are welcome to. So.
Awesome.
All right. My thanks to the late man, and my thanks to John K. Alvarez, the third wheel. We will see you all in the next video. All right. Take care, everyone. God bless you.